there was a terrible, maybe business report or extended response question in the HSC a couple of years ago, where they included this idea of types of markets. They had basically three different parts of the syllabus and just randomly chucked them together. And I know they'd object to saying that, but they did. I mean, it wasn't like a natural question that someone would ask. They got three bits of the syllabus and they turned it into a question. And it stumped a lot of people because it was about types of markets. And it wasn't something that people really focused on. People focused on, their case studies and things like that. And all of the case studies that most people had were based on consumer markets, right? Where customers are individuals, mass markets, niche markets. But you do need to know that there are these other types of markets there and that the marketing strategies are going to be different for each market. So for each place where they're being sold to each type of customer. So if the customers are businesses, this is something that people don't really think about because you're not a business. You're a person who's buying something as an individual. You're not really buying, 50 tons of fertilizer or something. I hope you're not buying 50 tons of fertilizer because stay away from me. But there are customers who are businesses. They are doing things with those products that you wouldn't do. So if you think of customers that are businesses in the primary sector, we call that a resource market. And you have to have a different approach to them. They have really, really specialized needs, and there might only be a handful of customers. And those customers are experts. They're not your regular, Mount Druitt Westfield customers. They are experts in their field. They know exactly what they need. You can't just make stuff up. Yeah, you can't make claims that you can't back up. They have very, very specialized needs that you need to fulfill. So if the customer is a business in the primary sector in a resource market, you need to focus on making sure that you're getting good relationships with that customer. If they're a business that uses the product in production, we call that an industrial market. So those are businesses that are buying something to turn into something else. So if you think of James Hardie making business like building materials for builders, obviously, and the other thing they make is cancer and waste disposal as well. You're providing these things as part of the production process for somebody else. So you're going to have people that are fairly demanding. And you're going to have people who, again, have very, very specialized needs and not so many. But if you can get like a large business to be your customer, then you've got it made, right? So that's why they spend a lot of money on, schmoozing. They want to make sure that they get that customer for the long run, right? They're not really just trying to sell one product one day. They're trying to sell, tons and tons and tons of products to that customer over a lot of years. If the customer is a business that then sells a product on to consumers, we call that an intermediate. So intermediate means like in the middle. So for example, a wholesaler that sells products to a retailer, the retailer will then sell those products to customers. So you might be selling products to a business that then sells products to a business that then sells products to a customer, right? So it gets a little bit complicated if you're trying to sell your own product to every single final customer. It can be easier to just find a wholesaler and sell them 10,000 of the things. And then it's their problem to sell it on to the retailers to sell them, right? So it is still a good idea to do it, but your marketing strategies are going to be different. Your strategies for all of these, your basic answer, and it's likely to be a short answer question, your basic answer is that you need to develop long-term relationships. You need to focus on personal selling rather than advertising. You have never in your life seen an ad on TV for 100 tons of concrete, yeah, or asbestos or something like that. You're not going to see that on TV because they just there's half a dozen people that would buy that amount. So they just ring those people. Those people own large businesses and they just ring them up, right? They may take them out. They may, get some things for them. That's the focus there. If the customers are individuals, we call those consumer markets. So the products are being sold to individuals to use. They're not being used to make other products, and don't go, oh, what if someone wants to make a cake with flour? All right, fine. But they're not using it to like as part of their business. So how do you deal with these? Well, there's really two ways. You can go for mass markets or you can go for what we call niche markets. A mass market is where you target a large number of potential customers using a single product, a single strategy. Right? The advantages of this, you've got lots of potential customers and it's going to save money. right? Because you don't need to customize anything. You just go, right, this is this is the old, Coca-Cola thing. They used to have Coke. Coke was it. We have Coke. Would you like Coke? Would you like it in red? Because it's red. That's it. That's all you've got. But the disadvantage is that it might not appeal to certain groups. There might be some people that go, well, I don't want Coke. I don't want to put on weight. So you need to go, okay, how about we split this market up? How about we target some niche markets, target smaller groups of potential customers who have shared features and customize the product or customize the strategy for them. The advantage of this is that custom strategy will probably be better at persuading that group because it's targeted straight to them, right? It's not an accident. The disadvantage, though, is you have fewer potential customers, and your niches, they may disappear. There may be a small group of people who want this product, but then some other product might come along that completely removes the need for it. Yeah. So you really want to be careful focusing just on a niche market. What is better to do is do what a place like Coca-Cola does, is try to make something for everyone, right? So target a large number of customers, but then split them up. Segment the market, have niches where you go, okay, we want to target this specific group, but we don't want our whole business to be based on this specific group in case that group disappears or they have something else that they like. So that's how you target consumers. You can go for the mass market approach or the niche market approach. But just remember that even though 95% of the syllabus is about consumer markets, it is important to know those other markets, those industrial markets, resource markets, intermediate markets, because they can, trick you with a question.